Yes, that's fair to say.
So, and correct me in introducing as well as I go forward, you were in documentaries and you got into this place in your life because prior to this, you were part of a notorious organization in prison named the Aryan Brotherhood.
Yes.
And to this date, you're the highest ranking member to have called it dropped out, moved out, left.
Defected, divorced,
left.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's frowned upon around those parts. Is that also fair to say?
It's not highly thought of. That's correct.
And so...
The wise decision, man. You know, it was the hardest decision that I had to make, but you know, when I cooperated, by the time I did, all my co-defendants were gone. It doesn't make it any better, but when they called me in as, you know, to come testify in these cases, I didn't testify as a precipient witness. I had a plan. I went in there and I just testified about how gangs work. The gangs, they're not gonna care about that. At the end of the day, they don't care. You got up in there, but I didn't send nobody to prison. I didn't sit up there and say, this guy stabbed this guy. They had me going on cases that I knew nothing about. The Palmas case was a big case that happened out there in San Jose. Some youngsters that got caught killing sureños out there, a bunch of them.
Simply not the case. That's just not who we are. We prosecute cases in a fair and ethical manner.
How often does your office use jailhouse informants?
Not very often. The informants are not the most reliable people around. They're, in fact, unreliable, and everybody knows that.
Which is why Cleveland says he and many other inmates gathering information were rarely called to testify.
On any given day, Outlaw Renegades, you can listen to popular social media buster influencers telling very entertaining, fabricated prison boogeyman stories of how they were once ex-members, heavy hitters, money earners, or one-time tax collectors for the infamous Nuestra Familia, who apparently act like they have extensive direct knowledge of Nuestra Familia's past and current affairs, such as assaults, extortion, and/or murders, which have never been corroborated by the social media snitch buster influencers under oath in any court case against Nuestra Familia. We Outlaw Renegades currently live under a Nazi regime-like society and government. Law enforcement and prisons across America have today currently the highest rate of informants and/or prison debriefers, similar to Nazi Germany. Yet, law enforcement, criminal finance, Yet law enforcement, criminal, financial analyst experts, prison authorities, and both state and federal prosecutors have repeatedly failed and are unable to find or uncover and or seize large sums of money, banks accounts, businesses, or assets from the alleged California prison organizations or its leaders for more than 50 years now. Law enforcement, criminal financial analysts are the best in the world. They've decoded and seized monies from much more sophisticated criminal organizations than prison gangs, such as terrorist networks, both Colombian and Mexican drug cartels, and even the cartel bosses themselves, all who used highly sophisticated methods to hide illegal profits or launder their money. Yet these same individuals are unable to somehow uncover a simple money order scheme to send incarcerated gang leaders' profits to public banks as popular social media buster influencers indoctrinate their peanut for brains, loyal fanboy zombies to believe on a daily basis. Contrary to what you may be thinking, outlaw renegades, our law enforcement agencies, prison gang investigators, and our criminal justice system are not stupid idiots. They are highly intelligent, trained individuals who can tell when informants and or prison debriefers are withholding information or flat out lying. Law enforcement and prison officials not only are aware, but have individuals who specifically listen and record what popular social media buster influencers say on their platforms. Yet, snitch influencer busters are never pressured or forced to corroborate their prison boogeyman stories in any federal racketeering case against Nuestra Familia. Imagine for a moment, YouTube outlaws, the devastating impact which would happen to an alleged prison criminal organization such as the Nuestra Familia if our criminal justice system made these popular social media buster influencers like Cholo King Kong Bundy, Boxer Mendoza, or JCat bipolar wannabe ex-Nuestra Familia member Flaco testify in court against actual Nuestra Familia, or even help seize illegal Nuestra Familia bank accounts. Both our criminal justice system and prison authorities dream of big cases such as seizures from criminal organizations or racketeering cases like the Mexican Mafia 1996 federal case or Nuestra Familia's Operation Black Widow. An informant highly knowledgeable of Nuestra Familia's tax scheme or money laundering operations and crimes like Boxer, Flaco, or Renegade Media's 59J speak of having knowledge to would make any law enforcement or prosecutors instant overnight wealthy celebrity crime fighters. Yet they're left alone without having to answer to why they withheld vital information about Nuestra Familia's criminal activities when debriefing or as a cooperating witness/informant. Social media buster influencers are not punished or held accountable by law enforcement or prison officials because these highly trained, educated professionals know damn well the squad of social media buster influencers are 114% compulsive liars, like the alleged ex-Aryan Brotherhood celebrity snitch influencer Michael Lynn Thompson. In fact, their, meaning law enforcement and prison officials, are the ones who in the first place suggest and coach these highly popular social media buster influencer squad to be extremely good liars. Why would snitch influencers be encouraged to tell intentional lies to the public? And why are snitch influencer busters even referred to and or shamed for being informants or rats if they've never actually testified in court against actual Nuestra Familia members? Well, that in itself is quite complicated, yet so simple to answer. In 1979, one David Lozoya was incarcerated for life on the charge of murder, a conviction Lozoya adamantly denied from the start of his incarceration, claiming he was innocent until the day he died, June 2015. David Lozoya was convicted and labeled a Nuestra Familia shot caller on statements from informants and debriefing prisoners. Lozoya would be one of the first convicts in CDCR to be validated a prison gang member or leader of the Nuestra Familia and placed inside the infamous Pelican Bay SHU for life. In 2009, Lozoya joined with other validated SHU convicts to form what is today known as the End to Hostilities Agreement, plus the lawsuit against CDCR and California's then Governor Brown, known as the Ashker versus Governor Brown court settlement, which challenged the evidence and statements of informant and debriefing prisoners, which are used to validate prison gang members, associates, or leaders of a prison gang. In 2014, a judge ruled informants and debriefing prisoner statements and/or evidence used to validate alleged gang members and associates were fabricated or false statements. The judge ordered prison authorities to return prisoners locked up in SHU units back to a general population mainline prison environment. But before David Lozoya could be returned to a general population prison yard, Lozoya would die after 37 years in prison, most of the time which was spent in solitary confinement or SHU units, because of the label of being a Nuestra Familia shot caller, which was proven to be false in 2014. After David Lozoya's death, evidence would surface proving that in fact Lozoya was innocent of the crime of murder. Statements from former prisoners, one such prisoner, Death Row Joe Gonzalez, was hidden from Lozoya's lawyers, which stated Lozoya was never a Nuestra Familia member and that others committed the murder Lozoya was convicted for. But it was too late. After 37 years in prison, most of it spent in California's infamous Pelican Bay SHU, Lozoya died an innocent man. Since California prisons gave birth to adjustment centers, solitary confinement, or the infamous Pelican Bay and Corcoran SHU units, prison authorities have been using false or fabricated statements and/or evidence provided by debriefing prisoners or informants to wrongfully and illegally lock men up in complete isolation, where many have died like David Lozoya, all because some well-concocted prison boogeyman fairy tale some debriefing prisoner or informant gave to avoid their punishment, without ever having to swear under oath before a judge or be challenged by defense attorneys. This is why these social media buster influencers are labeled and shamed rats or snitches. The outlaw, though, prefers the term snitch influencers. Snitch or rat, not because they cooperated with law enforcement or prison officials, but because they lie instead of telling the truth. Busters, not because they claim to be ex-Northern Cali gangsters. A shout out to the real righteous 114%ers who stand by the End to Hostilities Agreement. No, busters, because their prison boogeyman fairy tales don't help stop gangs, instead glorify them to the youth, like the 1990s movie American Me did. They are anti-gang, gang-glorifying snitch influencers. If you agree these non-Chicano social media buster influencers like Boxer Mendoza are YouTube busters, hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment. Or if you're an extremely dumb YouTube buster influencer fanboy groupie, go ahead and leave your hateful Neanderthal IQ-like comment as well. And remember, always stay 113 or 114% activated and strapped with your critical thinking beanies on, because there indeed is a war out for your minds, and individuals like these YouTube buster influencers are out to manipulate your thoughts and opinions with lies. Till next time, YouTube outlaws, a clenched fist salute y venceremos.